So welcome today to Finch Adaptive Fabrication. Today we're working on bearing housings for a WCMX chair. We'll kind of show you how things work as we go along the way. For starters, if you look over here in the lathe, we just have start out with a chunk of aluminum, and then we'll start machining that. We'll surface it first, and then we'll go from there. So we now have the first edge of the aluminum faced off, so it's all square to the block. We're going to come back here, we're going to touch everything off so we can get a 0 point on the outside. Okay, stop for just a second. Get a new 0 point on the front face. And now we'll start turning it down to size. We need to turn this down to 1 3/4. That's what we use for the WCMX chairs. Unfortunately, I didn't have any 1 3/4 stock. It started out at 1 7/8, so we have to just start from there. So here we go. This will be our last pass. We'll have it down to 1 3/4, and then we'll start boring the inner dimension. So there we have it. Oh, you gotta give it one more pass. Got ahead of myself there a little bit. Now let's see what we got. We should be pretty close right here. We'll cut the other side of this off when we turn it around to bore the back end. Okay. One more 5 thousandths cut and we're good to go. And there we go, perfect. 175. That's exactly what we wanted. So now we're going to reset up. We need to get a center point on this so we can start boring this out the size. We'll end up with a 7/8 hole through the whole middle of it. I'm sure you all know that we have a tendency to build things a little heavier for the WCMX chair. You know, they take so much abuse. And, I like to sleep at night. I don't want to worry about somebody breaking a bearing housing or, you know, having problems while they're at the skate park. You know, you go to the skate park, you want to skate. You don't want to have to fight with stuff. So now we're going to find the center. We're going to find the center of our part. We got a lot of drilling to do. It's all going to be the same thing. So we'll go back in just a second. So we have our initial 1/2 inch hole all the way through. Now we're going to start our final bore of 7/8, and then we'll put a boring bar in and start machining for the bearings. Some of you might ask, why don't I just have these parts made? We usually do. We just happen to be out of stock of them at the moment. And we had a chair order and it needs to get done. So today we're just gonna make these bearing housings, and hopefully the new ones will come in within the next couple weeks. So all right, well, we're gonna continue on. So here we have our 7/8 hole. It's not quite all the way through. We'll have to finish it from the other side when we turn things around. But that's all the drilling we're going to do from this side. Now we're going to set up and actually start boring for the bearings. Get this out of our way. The boring bar set up. Again, we'll have to zero things out so we know how deep we are and how wide we're going to be. So I'm sure there's people out there that are machinists that know better ways to do this than I do. I wouldn't call myself a machinist. I know how to use the tools a little bit. I can get by. But yeah, I wouldn't call myself a machinist. We do what we need to do. And so now we're going to start boring for the 5/8 stems that we use over the 1/2 inch, which traditionally most people use on wheelchairs. Again, I like the extra strength. I like to sleep at night. I don't want people, going to the skate park and having to worry about, bending a fork stem and having ruined their whole day. We have a hard enough time getting out of the house and getting out and doing what we need to do anyways. So let's make things a little more solid and go have a good time. So we're gonna start boring that bearing. I'll show you the bearing housing, where the bearing goes here in a few minutes. So here we are. We're just about ready to make the last cut on the bearing on the top half, and then we'll cut a relief. So let's see where we're at. We have this it's an inner diameter tool. It's way more accurate than trying to measure with calipers for inner measurement. So you slide this in here, lock it in place, and now we'll take our calipers here and see where we're at. And man, we're really close. We're 273. I think we'll stick with that because that'll give us a couple thousand squish on the bearing and hold it in nice and tight. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up and do a relief cut so the bearing can get down into where down into its final home. We cut a relief so you can get it in and out easier. So what we're going to do is we know the bearing's 0.343 deep. So we're going to bottom out our boring bar. We're going to reset it at 0. We're going to come back 0.343. So there we have it, 345. That'll work. It gives us a couple thousandths to play with. And so now we're going to remark this at 0. And now we can come back and okay. So now we're going to go back to this, our inner dimension. We're going to reset that for 0. We're going to take 30 thousandths out for relief. And there's 20. And with the lathe we have, it's not the most precise thing. You get a little flex in our boring bar. So I'll take another fly cut out of here at the same setting. And we should be good. And with that, perfect. That'll be the top side of our bearing housing. Once we finish, we'll turn around. We're going to do the same thing on the back side, and then we'll come back, we'll put it in the mill, and we'll cut this. There's 20-degree angle on this. We do this again. So if a person is at the part and they have problems with the bearing, or they do bend a stem, this bearing can pop out real easily. Everything will come apart easily. And then fix it and go right back to what they're doing. So give us a few minutes and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we've turned the part around. We measured it and found out that we're 16 thousandths long. So we're going to trim it down, and then we'll bore the back side for the bearing, and then we'll move on to the mill. seem to not be quite true. So let's see what we can do about that. You see it's wobbling here a little bit, just a little bit. There it is. Just kind of tap the end of that a little bit and it'll straighten right up. Okay, now let's cut her down to size. I think we're about ready for a new carbide cutter in this tool. I can feel it dragging a little bit. We'll have to fix that after this cut. Here's our last cut. Move a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now with that, we're ready to come back in with the boring bar, bore bearing from the other side, and then we'll get to the mill. We'll show you how you put the 20-degree angle cut across the top. Okay, so now with all the work done in the lathe, so you have both these parts to the same height. This one's a finished part. Now we need to put this angle into this part here. So what we're going to do here now is we have a digital level. We have the mill set for 0 degrees. We're just going to come in here and it's pretty simple. You know, again, I'm sure there's probably a better way to do this, but this is what works for us, especially when we're just doing it as a one-off part. You know, obviously if I was making 20, 40 of these at a time, we do other things. That's where we usually will hire stuff, sort it out to other machine shops that have CNC equipment. Unfortunately, we are waiting on an order, so we just have to get this one done. So we're just going to set this here. And we're going to set this at 20 degrees. That's what we want right there, is 20 degrees. Okay. Oops. Seems like it moved just a little bit. It's not the end of the world. But we do our best to have everything just right. It's trying to fight me a little bit here, so let's get things where it needs to be. 20.7, that looks pretty good. 20.2, there we go. Okay. So now we have that in. It's all locked down. We're just going to bring our mill over. We're going to raise this bed up just to where the cutter just touches the top of this. Right there. So there we are at 0. We're going to turn the mill on. And now we're going to start cutting. So give us a few minutes and we'll show you the end result. All right, we'll be right back. Running the whole time I was cutting. Trying to not have that, but so here we are. There we have our angle, just like our other one here. So we'll clean this up a little bit. Just run a little ream around here. Take that edge off. We'll do a little filing on the outside. Just take the sharp edges off. And just like that. We have 2 bearing housings for our WCMX forks. For our new WCMX chair we're building for a gentleman in Australia this time. So we've been fortunate. People seem to like what we're doing. We've been sending this stuff all around the world. And if you don't have anything doing on next Tuesday, go look up Live to Roll. We'll be on there at 3:30. They're going to be interviewing us. And all right, God bless everybody and have a great week.